Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum dear students. I am Ms. Shazi Anjum from Mathematics Department of APS Fort Road. This is our 5th week of online support program. Today's topic is proof and application of an important theorem on limit of a function. Dear students, there are many limit problems which cannot be evaluated by algebraic techniques which we have discussed in our previous lecture. Such problems require geometric arguments, and for this we evaluate an important theorem which states that if theta is measured in radian, then value of limit of function sine theta whole divided by theta when theta approaches 0 is equal to 1. Dear students, before we prove the theorem, let's discuss the definition of sandwich or squeeze theorem, as we have to use it in the proof. As proof of sandwich theorem is not in our syllabus, that's why we just discuss its definition. Squeeze theorem states that if there are three real valued functions h of x, f of x and g of x which are related to each other in such a way that h of x is less than or equal to f of x and f of x is less than or equal to g of x for all x in an open interval containing c except possibly at c itself. Students, if we observe their graphs, we can clearly see that the value of h of x is less than or equal to the value of f of x, and value of f of x is less than or equal to value of g of x in the whole open interval containing c, as f lies between h and g in this whole interval. Theorem states that if the value of limit of function h of x is L when x approaches c, and value of limit of g of x when x approaches c is also L, then as f is sandwiched or squeezed between h and g at x is equal to c, so sandwich theorem states that the value of limit of function f of x when x approaches c is also equal to L. Because the relation h of x is less than equal to f of x is less than equal to g of x shows that limit of the function h of x when x approaches c is less than or equal to limit of function f of x when x approaches c, and it is less than or equal to limit of function g of x when x approaches c, as we are given that limit of function h of x and limit of function g of x when x approaches c is L. Therefore, the inequality becomes L is less than or equal to limit of function f of x when x approaches c, and it is less than or equal to L. It means limit of the function f of x when x approaches c is a number which is less than or equal to L and greater than or equal to L. So the relation between three functions h of x, f of x and g of x holds true only if limit of the function f of x when x approaches c is also equal to L. That is what the sandwich theorem states. Students, there are many limit problems which cannot be evaluated by algebraic techniques such as factorization or rationalization. Such problems require geometric arguments. For this we evaluate an important theorem which states that if theta is measured in radian, then value of limit of function sine theta whole divided by theta when theta approaches 0 is equal to 1. Dear students, in order to prove this theorem, we consider a unit circle with center at origin O and radius OA along positive x-axis. Students, unit circle is a circle whose radius is equal to 1 unit. In this circle, we take theta, a positive acute central angle. Central angle means an angle whose vertex is at the center of circle, which is point O. We take a sector OAB of this circle, as we know that sector is a part of circle bounded between two radii and their corresponding arc. We join point A with point B to get a triangle OAB. Then we draw a tangent at point A, as tangent to a circle at A is a line touching the circle externally at point A. We produced OB to meet the tangent at point D, and hence we get a right angle triangle OAD with right angle at point A. As we have proved in our metric class that tangent drawn at the outer end of a radial segment is perpendicular to the radial segment. We draw a perpendicular from point B to OA which meets OA at point C, such that triangle OCB is a right angle triangle with right angle at C, at point C. Dear students, now we will consider three diagrams one by one, which are right angle triangle OAD, sector OAB and triangle OAB. Then we'll find their areas in terms of theta and we'll establish an inequality between their areas so that we can apply sandwich theorem to prove our required theorem. Students, now we'll calculate their areas in terms of theta. So if you look at the first diagram, which is on extreme left, it is a right angle triangle OAD, where AD is perpendicular to OA and OA is radial segment of unit circle. As we know that the formula to find area of triangle is 1/2 into base into height. Base of triangle is OA and height is AD. So let's calculate the value of height first. To find height of triangle, we'll take trigonometric ratio tan theta, as tan is perpendicular over base. That means tan theta is AD over OA. Value of OA is 1 because it is radial segment of unit circle whose length is equal to 1 unit. So by substituting the value of OA, we get tan theta is equal to AD. That means value of height of triangle AD is equal to tan theta. So when we substitute values in the formula, 1/2 into base into height. So 1/2 multiplied by base is OA and its value is 1, into height is AD and its value is tan theta. So area of the triangle OAD becomes tan theta by 2 or 1/2 tan theta. Now we'll come to the second figure, which is sector of circle, as we have proved in first year and metric class as well, that area formula to find the area of sector is 1/2 r square theta, where r is radius of the circle and theta is circular measure of central angle of sector, which is here theta radians. So when we substitute values, students, we get area of sector OAB is 1/2 into r square, means 1 square into theta. So we get 1/2 theta or theta by 2. In last figure, we calculate area of the triangle OAB by using the same formula, 1/2 into base into height. So base is OA and height is BC, where BC is perpendicular drawn from B to OA, which is radial segment of unit circle. So by substituting the values in the formula, first we calculate height of triangle B, which is BC, by using the trigonometric ratio sin theta, which is perpendicular, and we'll apply this trigonometric ratio on right angle triangle OBC. So keep one point in your mind, students, that OAB is not a right angle triangle but OBC is a right angle triangle. So we'll apply this trigonometric ratio on right angle triangle OBC, as sin theta is perpendicular over hypotenuse. So perpendicular of the triangle OBC is BC and hypotenuse is OB, as OB is radial segment of unit circle whose length is 1 unit. So by substituting the value, sin theta is equal to BC over OB. OB is 1. So sin theta is equal to BC. That means the value of height of triangle is BC, which is equal to sin theta. So by substituting these values in the formula, 1/2 into base into height, we get 1/2 into OA into BC. OA is 1. So 1/2 into sin theta. So sin theta by 2 is area of the triangle OAB. So we have calculated areas in terms of theta. From figure, it is very much obvious that area of the triangle OAD is greater than area of sector OAB, which is greater than area of the triangle OAB. So by substituting the values of areas, we get an inequality, which is tan theta by 2 is greater than theta by 2 is greater than sin theta by 2. As in the start of this theorem, we assume that theta is it's an acute central angle. That means it lies in the first quadrant, and in first quadrant sin theta is positive. So 2 by sin theta is also a positive number. And if you recall solution of inequalities, which we have studied in metric class, when an inequality is multiplied with a positive number, it remains unchanged. So when we multiply this inequality with 2 by sin theta, our inequality remains unchanged. So we get 1 by cos theta is greater than theta by sin theta is greater than 1. Now by taking reciprocals and reversing the inequalities, we get cos theta is less than sin theta by theta is less than 1. Students, if we reverse or we reciprocate two positive numbers, as for example, we have 5 is greater than 2, but when we reciprocate both the numbers, we get 1 by 5 changes to 1 by 5 and 2 changes to 1 by 2. Now 1 by 5 is not greater than 1 by 2. It is less than 1 by 2 because 1 by 5 is 0.2 and 1 by 2 is 0.5 and 0.2 is less than 0.5. It means the inequality changes. If we have greater, it changes to smaller. So we have cos theta is less than sin theta by theta is less than 1. Dear students, as cos theta is an even function, therefore cos theta is equal to cos of minus theta and sin theta whole divided by theta is equal to sin of minus theta whole divided by minus theta. So we conclude that this inequality, that is cos theta is less than sin theta whole divided by theta is less than 1, which we get in the last step of previous slide, is valid for all non-zero theta in the open interval minus pi by 2 to pi by 2. So finally, because limit of cos theta when theta approaches 0 is equal to cos 0 and its value is 1, and limit of 1, which is a constant function, when theta approaches 0 is the same constant function 1. Now here we can apply squeeze theorem or sandwich theorem, and we conclude that limit of sin theta whole divided by theta when theta approaches 0 is also equal to 1, as sin theta by theta is a function which is sandwiched between cos theta and 1, and hence the proof. Okay, students, let's apply the theorem which we have proved in our last slide. The application of this theorem is in exercise 1.3 question number 3. So let's start with part 1. In part 1 we have to find the value of limit of function sin 7x whole divided by x when x approaches 0. If we directly put the value of limit in our function as we did in question number 1 of exercise 1.3, we get sin in 7 into 0 whole divided by 0, which is sin 0 by 0, as value of sin 0 is 0. So we get 0 by 0, which is an undefinable form. That means we can't directly put limit here. As our given function is not algebraic, so we can't apply any algebraic technique here to simplify this function. Actually, our given function is a trigonometric. If you compare given function with the function of theorem, in function of theorem, we observe that whatever the variable of sine function is, same is the denominator of fraction. So first of all, we have to change our given function to according to the function of theorem. For this, we put a substitution here. We put 7x is equal to t. So after this substitution, our numerator changes to t. So in order to change the denominator in terms of t, so we find the value of x from this substitution, which is equal to t by 7. If you observe, students, when our given function is in terms of in terms of x, so value of the limit is also in terms of x. So after this substitution, when our variable of function changes to t, so limit should also be on t. For this, we find the limit in terms of t, and for this purpose, we always put our given limit or original limit in the substitution to get the new limit. Our given limit is x approaches 0. So when we put x equal to 0 in our substitution, we get t is equal to 7 into 0, which is equal to 0. That means we get t is equal to 0. So it means when x approaches 0, then t also approaches 0. So our new function after substitution becomes limit of function sin t whole divided by t by 7 when t approaches 0. 7 is denominator of denominator. So after simplification, it will shift to the numerator, and our given fraction becomes 7 into sin t whole divided by t. So 7 is coefficient of this function, and in question number 1 we have we have applied theorems in which we have studied that the coefficient of the function can always be taken out of the limit. So I can shift this 7 out of the limit. So our function becomes 7 into limit of function sin t whole divided by t when t approaches 0. Now we can apply our theorem here. As according to theorem, value of this limit is 1. So we have 7 into 1, which is equal to 7, which is our required answer. Now let's move to the part 2. If you recall the statement of theorem, students, it was if theta is measured in radian, then value of limit of function sin theta whole divided by theta when theta approaches 0 is equal to 1. If you observe the angle here, it is not given in radian, it is in degree. So first of all, we have to change our given angle to radian, and you have studied in part 1 so that we can change our angle of trigonometric function from degree to radian and radian to degree. So in order to change our given angle to radian, we multiply it with pi by 180. So our angle becomes sine pi x by 180 whole divided by x. So first of all, what we'll do, if you observe, by directly substituting the value of limit in the function, again we get 0 by 0, which is an undefinable form. That means we can't directly put limit. So we have to apply the theorem. So students, if you compare your given function with the function of theorem, we observe that in theorem, whatever the variable of sine function is, same should be the denominator of fraction. So first we have to change our function according to the function of theorem. For this we put a substitution here. We put angle of sine function, which is pi x by 180 equal to t, and in order to change denominator in terms of t, we find the value of x from this substitution, which is 180 t by pi. As our original variable of the function was x and limit was given in terms of x, after substitution our variable changes to t, so we have to change our limit in terms of t. For this we put our given limit in the substitution. So when we put x is equal to 0 in substitution, we get pi into 0 by 180, which is 0. That means when x approaches 0, t also approaches 0. And after this substitution, our new function becomes limit of sine t the whole divided by 180 t by pi, and when t approaches 0. Here if you observe students, pi is denominator of denominator. So after simplification, it will shift to the numerator and our function becomes pi by 180 sine t whole divided by t. So pi by 180 being coefficient of the function can be taken out of limit. So it becomes pi by 180 into limit of function sine t whole divided by t when t approaches 0. Now we can apply the theorem which we have proved in our last slide. And according to the theorem value of limit of this function is 1. So we get pi by 180 into 1, which is equal to pi by 180, and it's the required answer. 3 is limit of function 1 minus cos theta whole divided by sine theta when theta approaches 0. If we directly put limit in our function, we get 1 minus cos 0 whole divided by sine 0. As cos 0 is 1 and sine 0 is 0, so it becomes 1 minus 1 by 0, which is 0 by 0, and it is an undefinable form. That means we can't directly put limit in our function. So we simplify it by rationalizing the numerator. So multiply with 1 plus cos theta, multiply and divide with 1 plus cos theta. Numerators can be multiplied by using the identity a minus b into a plus b is equal to a square minus b square. So we have 1 minus cos square theta in the numerator and sine theta into 1 plus cos theta in the denominator. If we apply first fundamental identity, which is sine square theta plus cos square theta is equal to 1. So 1 minus cos square theta can be replaced by sine square theta, and on cancelling the common factor and simplifying our fraction, we get sine theta over 1 plus cos theta. Now by putting the limit in function, we get sine 0 over 1 plus cos 0. As sine 0 is 0 and cos 0 is 1, so we get 0 over 1 plus 1, which is 0 by 2, and it is equal to 0. Part 4 is important from board exams point of view. It is limit of function sine x whole divided by pi minus x when x approaches pi. If we directly put limit in function, it becomes sine pi divided by pi minus pi. Sine pi is 0 and pi minus pi is also 0, so it becomes 0 by 0, which is an undefinable form. And we simplify this function by making a substitution. We put denominator equal to t. That is, pi minus x is equal to t. In order to get the value of x, in order to change the numerator in terms of t, we find the value of x from this substitution, which is x is equal to pi minus t. After changing our function from x to t, we have to change our limit as well. So for this, we put our given limit in the substitution. As given limit is x approaches pi, so when we put x is equal to pi in substitution, it becomes t is equal to pi minus pi, which is equal to 0. It means when x approaches pi, then t approaches 0. So after making this substitution, our new function becomes limit t approaches 0 sine pi minus t whole divided by t. Either you can simplify this numerator sine pi minus t by using the expansion formula sine alpha minus beta is equal to sine alpha cos beta minus cos alpha sine beta, or you can apply or you can use allied angle result, as angle is an allied angle here. So either you can apply expansion formula or you can use allied angle result. In both the cases you finally get sine t. It means we have now limit sine t whole divided by t when t approaches 0. So we can apply theorem here, and according to the theorem, value of limit of this function is equal to 1, which is our required answer. Students, part 5 is limit of the function sine ax whole divided by sine bx when x approaches 0. If we directly put our limit in function, it becomes sine a into 0 whole divided by sine b into 0, as value of sine 0 is 0. Therefore, it becomes 0 by 0, which is an undefinable form. It means we can't directly put limit in our function. So we have to first simplify our function. First of all, we express it as a product of two functions. So it becomes limit of the function sine ax into 1 over sine bx when x approaches 0. We multiply and divide our function in the numerator with ax, and multiply and divide our function in the denominator with bx. So it becomes limit of the function sine ax whole divided by ax into 1 over sine bx whole divided by bx into bx when x approaches 0. As students, ax is in the numerator and bx is in the denominator, so we can cancel common factor, which is x, and now we are left with a over b, which is coefficient of the function, and it can be taken out of this limit sign. So we have a over b, limit of the function sine ax whole divided by ax when x approaches 0, into 1 over limit of the function sine bx whole divided by bx when x approaches 0. Students, as both ax and bx will approach to 0 when x approaches 0, so we can apply theorem to both the functions, which is in the numerator and in the denominator. As according to the function, value of limit of this function is 1. So after substituting the value, we have a over b into 1 over 1, and after simplifying it we get a over b, which is our required answer. Our next part is part 6. It is limit of the function x over tan x. If we directly put limit, we have 0 over tan 0. As tan 0 is 0, so it becomes 0 by 0, which is an undefinable form. That means we have to first simplify our function before we substitute limit. As tan x can be written as sin x over cos x. Cos x is denominator of denominator, so we can shift it to the numerator. So it becomes limit of the function x over sin x into cos x. Now we'll take this factor x from the numerator and we'll put this factor in the denominator of denominator. So it becomes limit of the function 1 over sin x whole divided by x into cos x when x approaches 0. As function is in the form of quotient, so we can put limit with both the functions separately. So it becomes 1 over limit of the function sin x over x when x approaches 0 into limit of the function cos x when x approaches 0. We can apply theorem to find the value of the limit of function which is in the denominator, and according to the theorem, value of this limit is 1. And as far as limit of the function cos x is concerned, when we find this limit, it becomes cos 0, and value of cos 0 is 1. So we get 1 over 1 into 1, which is equal to 1, and it is our required. Part 7 is limit of the function 1 minus cos 2x whole divided by x square. If we directly put limit in function, it becomes 1 minus cos 2 into 0 whole divided by 0 square. As value of cos 0 is 1, so we get 1 minus 1 by 0, which is equal to 0 by 0, and it is an undefinable form. It means we can't directly put limit in our function. First of all, we have to simplify it. If you recall, students, half angle formulas which we have studied in first year, according to those formulas, we have sin square x is equal to 1 minus cos 2x whole divided by 2. From this formula, I can take the value of 1 minus cos 2x, which is equal to 2 sin square x. If we replace this value in the numerator of our function, we get limit of the function 2 sin square x whole divided by x square when x approaches 0. As 2 is coefficient of the function, so it can be taken out of limit sign. So we have 2 limit of the function x approaches 0, and by taking this whole square common from the numerator and denominator, we get sin x by x whole square. As we have studied in a theorem on limit, that limit can be taken inside the whole power, so we can shift this limit inside whole square. So we have 2 into limit of the function sin x by x when x approaches 0 whole square. By applying the theorem, value of the limit of this function is 1. So we have 2 into 1 square, which is equal to 2, and it is our required answer. Our next part is part 9. Function is limit of the function sine square theta whole divided by theta. If we directly put limit in function, it becomes sine square 0 whole divided by 0, as value of sine 0 is 0. So we get 0 by 0, which is an undefinable form. It means we can't directly put limit in the function. So first of all, we will simplify our function by expressing it as a product of two functions. So we have limit of the function sine theta whole divided by theta into sine theta when theta approaches 0. As function is in the form of product, so limit can be taken individually on each of the functions. So we have limit of the function sine theta whole divided by theta when theta approaches 0 into limit of the function sine theta when theta approaches 0. On first function, we can apply theorem, and according to the theorem, value of limit of this function is 1. And on second function, when we take limit of second function, we get sine 0, and value of sine 0 is 0. So we have 1 into 0, which is equal to 0, and it is our required answer. Part 10 is limit of the function secant x minus cos x whole divided by x. If we put limit in function, we get secant 0 minus cos 0 whole divided by 0. As value of both secant 0 and cos 0 is 1, therefore we get 1 minus 1 over 0, which is equal to 0 by 0, and it is an undefinable form. It means we can't directly put limit in our function. We have to first simplify it. As secant is reciprocal of cos, so it can be replaced by 1 by cos x minus cos x whole divided by x, and after taking LCM in the numerator, we get 1 minus cos square x by cos x whole divided by x. As cos x can be shifted to the denominator, so it becomes a limit of the function 1 minus cos square x by x into cos x when x approaches 0. And if we apply identity 1 in the numerator, it can be replaced by sine square x. So we have limit of the function sine square x whole divided by x into cos x when x approaches 0. If we put limit in this step, students, we observe that we get sine square 0 whole divided by 0 into cos 0. Value of sine 0 is 0 and value of cos 0 is 1. So it becomes 0 by 0 into 1, which is 0 by 0. And it is an undefinable form. That means still we need to simplify it more. So we can express it as a product of two functions. So we get limit of the function sine x whole divided by x into sine x whole divided by cos x when x approaches 0. As our function is in the form of product of two functions, so limit can be taken individually on each of the functions. So we have limit of the function sine x whole divided by x when x approaches 0 into limit of the function sine x by cos x when x approaches 0. On first function, we can apply theorem, and according to the theorem, value of limit of this function is 1. And on the second function, when we put limit, we have sine 0 by cos 0. As value of sine 0 is 0 and value of cos 0 is 1, therefore we get 1 into 0 by 1. 0 by 1 is 0, so we have 1 into 0, which is equal to 0. Students, part 11 is the most important part of the question number 3. It is limit of function 1 minus cos p theta whole divided by 1 minus cos q theta when theta approaches 0. If we put limit in function, we get 1 minus cos p into 0 whole divided by 1 minus cos q into 0. As value of cos 0 is 1, so we get 1 minus 1 whole divided by 1 minus 1, which is equal to 0 by 0. And it is an undefinable form. That means we can't directly put limit in function. We have to first simplify it. So again, by using the half angle formula, we have sine square x by 2 is equal to 1 minus cos x whole divided by 2. From this formula, if we find value of 1 minus cos x, it is equal to 2 into sine square x by 2. By using this formula in numerator and denominator, we get limit of the function 2 sine square p theta by 2 whole divided by 2 sine square q theta by 2 when theta approaches 0. As 2 is the common factor, so we can cancel this common factor. If we put limit in this step, even we get sine square p into 0 by 2 whole divided by sine square q into 0 by 2. As value of sine 0 is 0, therefore we get 0 by 0, which is an undefinable form. That means still we need to simplify it. So first we express our function as a product of two functions. So we have limit of the function sine square p theta by 2 into 1 over sine square q theta by 2 when theta approaches 0. So we multiply and divide our first function with p theta by 2 whole square, as our function is in the form of whole square. And we multiply and divide our second function, which is in the denominator, with q theta by 2 whole square, as our function is in the form of square. So in the next step we have limit of the function sine square p theta by 2 whole divided by p theta by 2 whole square into p theta by 2 whole square into 1 over sine square q theta by 2 whole divided by q theta by 2 whole square into q theta by 2 whole square, which is equal to, if numerator and denominator both are in the form of square, so we can take the square common. So we can write this function as limit of the function sine p theta by 2 whole divided by p theta by 2 whole square. We have taken the square sign common, and similarly 1 over sine q theta by 2 whole divided by q theta by 2 whole square. We have taken whole square common from the second function as well. So we are left with p theta by 2 whole square, which is p square theta square by 4, and in the denominator we are left with q theta by 2 whole square, which is q square theta square by 4. As theta square by 4 is common, so we can cancel it out and we are left with p square by q square, which is coefficient, and it can be taken out of limit sign. So we have p square by q square, and again by using the theorem on limit, that limit can be taken inside the whole power, so we can shift this limit inside the whole square. So we have p square by q square limit of function sine p theta by 2 whole divided by p theta by 2 when theta approaches 0 whole square into 1 over limit of the function sine q theta by 2 whole divided by q theta by 2 when theta approaches 0 whole square. Students, notice one point which is very important, that p theta by 2 and q theta by 2 both approach 0 when theta approaches 0. So we can apply theorem here. So we have p square by q square, as according to the theorem value of limit of this function is 1. So we have p square by q square into 1 square into 1 by 1 square, and after simplifying we get p square by q square. Students, this is last part of question number 3. It is limit of the function tan theta minus sine theta whole divided by sine cube theta when theta approaches 0. If you put limit in function, it becomes tan 0 minus sine 0 whole divided by sine 0 whole cube. As value of tan 0 and sine 0 is 0, therefore we get 0 minus 0 by 0, which is equal to 0 by 0, and it is an undefinable form. It means we have to first simplify our function. As tan theta can be written as sine theta by cos theta, so our function becomes limit of the function sine theta by cos theta minus sine theta whole divided by sine cube theta when theta approaches 0. After taking LCM in the numerator and shifting cos theta to the denominator, we have limit of the function sine theta minus sine theta into cos theta whole divided by sine cube theta into cos theta when theta approaches 0. We can take sine theta common from the numerator and we can cancel this factor with the sine cube theta. So we have limit of the function 1 minus cos theta over sine square theta into cos theta. Students, if you put limit in this step, we get 1 minus cos 0 over sine square 0 into cos 0. As cos 0 is equal to 1 and sine 0 is equal to 0, so we get 1 minus 1 over 0 into 1, which is 0 by 0, and it is an undefinable form. It means still we need to simplify it more. So we rationalize numerator, we multiply and divide it with the 1 plus cos theta. Numerator becomes 1 minus cos square theta, and when we apply identity 1 on numerator, it can be replaced by sine square theta. And we can cancel this sine square theta with the sine square theta in denominator. So simplest form of the function is limit of function 1 over cos theta into 1 plus cos theta. If we put limit in function, it becomes 1 over cos 0 into 1 plus cos 0, as value of cos 0 is 1. Therefore, we have 1 into 1 plus 1, which is 1 by 2, and it is the required answer. Students, you have to solve example number 6, example number 7, exercise 1.3, question number 3 by 8 by yourself. Thank you, students.